Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Hello.
Amen from anybody in here. That means you, including you.
Oh, amen. Hey.
There we go.
How's it going?
It's going great. You look great. Welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, DJ, and that right there
is Boston Bia.
The one and only Boston Bia. And boy, we didn't even ask our guest what kind of background. We don't know if she's feeling a campfire tonight. We don't know if she wants a street scene, but we can adjust as necessary. But man, what are you thinking about tonight? This guest.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm coming in like a juror. Can't wait to hear the details and get more
So you
familiar.
haven't done any
No.
internet. You're ready to render
I'm ready.
a verdict after hearing testimony.
Exactly.
Party people, put your hands together for the host of Truth and Transparency, Lana Oriani.
Wow.
Hey. Woo!
Yeah. Get a cowbell. Everybody gets a cowbell.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I could use one of those.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate that.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you. I've watched your work in awe, and lo and behold, I'm at the gym one day, and I turn on Truth and Transparency on YouTube and find out that you are covering a murder case in real time on the ground.
Yes, in Columbus, Ohio, right where I am located. So it was right after the New Year.
And the fact that you were like seeing things and giving some tips to the police, and you had spoken, you'd done your own canvassing. It's just wild. So what I thought we would do is kind of break this into what happened, how it happened, and why it happened, because I suspect that some of our audience, because there's so many cases, our colleagues are covering, hundreds of cases across the country. And sometimes some of them can slip by. I'm sure Misdemeanor knows, right, Bia? But not she's probably aware of this case, but probably not everyone is. So Lana, if you would first go over what happened, how it happened, and then why it happened.
Okay. Well, we were all celebrating, New Year's Eve. And so it was right after. This actually happened on the 30th, but it didn't make its way to even know about it until right there at the tail end of New Year's Eve. Local media obviously picked it up. I don't follow local media. No knock, but I just don't. And then when I saw that, obviously this is in our backyard, but what really caught my attention is when I looked at the victims. I looked at my social media because obviously I'm, residing here and been here for a while, and saw that I had mutual friends with the victims, and then saw that one of the victims, it's his sister's husband, so brother-in-law. I was like, wow, he's a Bearcat. He graduated from UC. I am a Bearcat. Once you're a Bearcat, always a Bearcat. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to talk about your athletic exploits. We're going to get to that. So don't worry. We're going to get to that.
So it was, I heard, hold on one second. Let me get something on my end.
Sure. And so, for those who don't know, Lana did go to University of Cincinnati on a golf scholarship and then ended up walking onto the basketball team. So, but we're going to get to that. So go ahead, Lana, please continue.
So I was like, we have to help this family. It was, no news was coming out from the police department. Columbus usually keeps a tight lip as it is, but I was like, we're going to go boots on the ground. We're going to go straight there. I want to check out the area. I know of the area, but I really wanted to look at the neighborhood canvassing of it. And we have tons of cameras down in Columbus, down in the downtown area / the arena district, short north campus. There's different areas, Italian Village, that the way that Columbus is broken off to, I knew that this was in the upcoming area that they were trying to revitalize. And so we went over there. boots on the ground, flipped on the camera, wanted to show all the video, not only the cameras that they have for the city, but all the residents that had their own surveillance cameras, whether it was Ring cameras, whether it was actual, like, I know they had Simply Safe, but
you showed how to defeat that.
Yeah, it was their own personal surveillance cameras. So we then did a big old map because the area is one-way streets a lot down there. And I was like, the person that would have ever decided to do this, you want to take a look at the one-way streets because you're blocking yourself in and you're making it so that you have to only travel certain ways to get in and out. And I was like, unless you walked out of like a 5-block radius, then you're getting out where you don't have to deal with the one ways. Also, so that's kind of where it started with, I reached out to Rob and I was like, hey, you don't know me from Adam, but I'm local, and if there's anything that I can do to help.
And Rob
let me know. And then I just started, Rob's the brother-in-law.
Okay. So
then I just was like, hey, then we just started thinking outside the box in terms of, well, there's a wedding video that went viral, their wedding video, and Rob actually did it. But the thing is that they got married, in 2021 in January. Well, technically 2020 December, but they had because it was COVID, they had the reception at the house in 2021. And we started Googling, their names and just like what you could find out online about them. If you were to Google them, we tried to do like victimology with that. Why would these people be, it's no forced entry. Then we realized that I think something's wrong here with this whole wellness check, not the people that were calling the wellness, but something with the police end here, because we noticed that there was 2 different incidences, and that would mean that you closed one and then you reopened it, and it was almost like back to back. So then we did a FOIA request, like a public records request, and we got the body cam. But before we got the body cam, we got CAD notes. And Plunder had done a really good job with getting information as well. And they had to hold off on giving us the body-worn camera because they wanted the chief, who had not spoken out, Columbus Police did not speak out at all yet, and they wanted the chief to get in front of, hey, this YouTuber is probably going to put this video out, and we need to tell the public that when we did the wellness check and we responded, our officer went to the wrong house. And that's like, this is what led to the civilians getting in before the cop. So when they did this wellness check, a couple different people called. The cop says that he goes out, and then he comes back, and then people end up calling back again to say, hey, and the dispatcher's like, we've already sent somebody out there. Like, who is this? Like, why are you calling? And then so she starts paying attention to the locations of where these calls are coming from, and she's like, you guys aren't even anywhere near the house that you're calling about. Well, neither was your officer. So, but I noticed when I asked for the FOIA and the public request, they said, we're going to give you everything. Obviously they have to, because it was a closed incident. And what I only asked for is a lot of people were going and asking for the responding officer's body cam. And I said, no, we're going to ask for the first incident when the officer just went there to give the wellness check part. That's all we want. We're not interested in the second going back. We want just the first time that she went there. Because I had noticed that it wasn't the same. It was a closed incident. Okay. Like when Plunder had released what she'd released, I noticed that it was picking up at a time frame that it was carrying over from a different call. And so that tells me that this was a closed incident, and then they reopened it, not the original case number or the incident number. They had started their own new one, which makes the other one fair game, So we went and I put in for it. And then they held off, like, hang on, you're going to get this, but just give us some time. And I knew right then and there, I said, they're going to do a press conference. I was like, if I was the chief, I would be getting in front of it before some YouTuber puts it out there and says, look at this. So sure as shit, what is, and I support Chief Bryant. She's done a fabulous job. What does she do? She comes out and she gets the local media people to come in and do like a private little presser. And I was like, wait a second. I wanted to be there. Like,
you were pissed.
Well, I wanted to be. I'm the one that's about to put this out. You're doing this because I asked for something that you had to get in front of, which was, hey, guess what? It's not these 911 callers and these citizen that's with wellness calls. Our officer went to the wrong house, and it was kind of like a big mistake though, because it wasn't even the right street, nor it wasn't like, how did you mess this up? But regardless, it ended up, in my opinion, well, then here we have 3 civilians going into a home. And that's going to play a role if you are to arrest somebody down the road and you're prosecuting, because now your scene has been compromised. So I put out the body worn camera for that. And it was a big old, like, basically shit show. But prior to that, we put out a map showing, I wasn't trying to like dox any houses or anything like that. I was just showing there's 27 cameras in the area. And I was like, they have this person or this car on camera because it's process of elimination. Unless you walked out 5 blocks. I had it pinpointed like that. Then I noticed that there was a camera and I was like, you know what? I've never seen this type of a camera before. And I was like, I want to Google what flock cameras. And sure as shit, there was a license plate flock reader camera right out in front of the house on the corner of 4th and 8th. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. So I knew what those were capable of. And I was like, oh my God. And then I wanted to know their backgrounds. And he had never been married before, but she had been. And because I was local, a lot of people actually emailed me. They felt that they could trust me to come to me with some information. And everybody was saying the same thing as this ex-husband. And we had already found out about the ex-husband, but this is a funny story about it. There is a Michael D. McCabe who married a man 3 weeks after Monique and Mike got divorced. And so no shit. We're like, oh my God. And I was like, I think he married a man.
Wrong, Michael McCabe.
Yeah. And I was like, listen to what he was doing though. He was seeking out people that had the same name as him to literally try to mess with you being able to track him and follow him. Because I was like, this guy, I'm telling you, something's weird about this. Like, I feel like he was adopted. There's nothing on him. It's really strange. And so, sure as shit, he was adopted. Bella was like, where did that come from that you would just see this dude had to have been adopted? I was like, because there was nothing. He was like a ghost, but
there was no, you couldn't.
Doctor that's a vascular surgeon doesn't have social media blasting their pretty little wife or their pretty little house and their pretty little kid, all of this stuff. Like, doctors are very, like, they have egos. And I was just like, this is really, really different. And so I call up the guy that married the Michael McCabe that wasn't the Michael McCabe.
Okay, yeah. I'm not him.
Yeah, no, but it was great because I was like, listen, because he cleans houses and he has like a awesome business. And so I was like, I'm going to get you some business out of this. And so literally 2 people have already like, hey, come and clean. But that was the funny part of the story is I was like, did Michael marry a guy? So anyways, long story short here is in talking with the family, in the wedding video, with being a YouTuber, you can look at the back end of your channel. So since Rob put out the YouTube video on his video on the YouTube channel that he created, you can look at the back end. And I said, you might be able to create some probable cause here if the police are looking for a way to do that. So let's be creative here. I have these X cities down that he's lived in. So we're going to Google search those cities and we're going to look at, when I say that we're going to Google search, we're going to type in the name Monique Tepe, which is very, it's not original. It's very original. So it's not like Jane Smith.
Right.
And let's see if anybody's been Googling the name Monique Tepe. And let's see if anybody's been Googling the name Spencer Tepe. And let's also use her maiden name. Okay. And then we're going to pick certain areas that would be important. So like basically if it was Googled in Columbus, okay,
Right.
they live in Columbus, they're from Columbus, all right. If it was Ohio, but let's go outside of that state and see, nobody should be Googling this name before the 30th because they're not dead, right? Like, why would people be Google searching them? Sure as shit, we about hair lit up. It comes back that December 6th, December 8th, out of Rockford, Illinois. And I'm like, and then Zanesville. And these are all cities that like Vegas, out in Palm, what was it? Palm Beach out over there in Cali. These are all cities that this man who she was married to resided in. And the biggest tell was the whole Rockford, Illinois area, which who would be Googling her name from that area? He works in that area.
When did you discover that? When did you discover that? Was it before they announced him, or how did you?
Yes, way before.
So you kind of had an inkling already.
We this was our tips to the police. So we told Rob to, hey, don't give the police a reason to subpoena your shit. Just tell them to go look at the back end, and then you got to give them these Google Analytics, because this was stuff that we had provided like January 4th. And so he wasn't arrested until January 10th. But it was actually really, it's going to come out, but he had an alibi. And his alibi was that he was on call working as a vascular surgeon in Rockford, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And so his alibi seemed like it was pretty crump tight. Like, he's on call. His phones are there during the time of the murder. So it's like, okay. Then it was, the whole thing was like he hired a hitman, you know? Because the family and friends told the police, like, there's a back history here. And it wasn't like one person just said this name. There was multiple people that told the police about this person. And I think that you have to develop probable cause to get search warrants, you know, subpoenas, whatever you're going to go get, depending on how you're doing it. And I'm all about our rights. If anybody knows me. And so I'm like, here, let's go outside the box to create this, that you can write down to create probable cause, which is maybe he made a mistake and wasn't using a VPN. Maybe there's an IP address that's associated with, you know, these Google Analytics, you know, you're searching something, you're watching something. Why would anybody be watching that wedding video that was created in 2021? Why would they be watching it right before the murders on the 28th on a VPN?
Oh, well, I heard you when you say that on your show, and I was just like blown away, because that right there, I mean, that indicates somebody who's obsessed with one of those two people that was in the wedding video. Bia, do you have something before?
I do. So is this the case where after she was already divorced from the ex-husband, there was also a court date that was more recent? And did you ever find out why?
That was so it wasn't after. So what ended up happening is in Franklin County, they're notorious for clerical errors that they're called docket entry errors. And I got a little clip from Rob. He's like, have you ever seen this before? And I said, yeah, actually I have, because unfortunately I've had to deal with the family law end of Franklin County. And right, pay me, do it.
Pay this girl.
So I said, yes, actually, I've totally dealt with it before. They vacated a case of mine that was never supposed to be vacated because they had got into the wrong case. And so it's called a docket entry error. But we got notified about it. But the reason I got notified was via email, because I was a pro se. I didn't have a lawyer. I did it myself. So if you're a pro se, then you can get involved with the e-portal, e-filing. But then you're also going to have your email on, so you can get email notifications. You also get the mailed out version. So I was able to put to rest really early on that I went down to the courthouse. Yep, it's exactly what you're saying it is. It's a docket entry error. But I asked a very specific question because I know that they give out those notifications through mail. And I knew that the mailing addresses of Michael McCabe was his Virginia one. I knew that he couldn't get that. All I cared about is did he have an email on because he was a pro se litigant, meaning he would get an email notification. Okay. And the girl said no. The girl also told me no notification went out via mail. Then they had to walk that back and said, actually, stuff did get sent out mail, but you're right. And we still hold true. Nothing went out email. And that's all I cared about because I knew that he was living in Virginia, or his address at the time of the divorce was Virginia. So he couldn't get that. But he could get an email because that email that you had back, just 8 years ago, like I've had my email for how long, So I was like, oh God, the only way that he would be notified that this could be a trigger is if he was emailed. And they said we didn't send out any email notifications, and they produced it finally. And I was like, okay, see, here you go. So I just wanted people to don't be blaming some clerk that made an error, and to be able to say, oh my God, if this error wouldn't have happened, then this wouldn't have triggered this man to commit homicide. No, that's not, nobody was notified.
Okay.
Or I should say he wasn't notified through email, and he didn't live in Virginia anymore. And he had left there 8 years ago. And the family said that they had no idea what this was. So it wasn't like Monique had told them, oh my God, you're never going to fucking believe this. I deal with Franklin County. They send me some notification to my parents' house. Then I got it. And then explaining to Mike McKee's name just pops up again. The family, nobody said, they're like, we have never seen this. And she's a talker. So it was okay. So I think that even if it was sent to the family's house, because it had her parents' address, I could see her parents just being zoop, cutting it up and be like, we're not giving this to her. Whatever the fuck this could possibly be. We're not giving this to her. So yeah. But there was some ironic clerical error. But I don't think either party knew about it. And then
because there would be no need for them to go back to court after the divorce had gone through.
Yeah, there wasn't people were trying to say, oh, there's custody with kids, and one of those kids is Mike's, and none of that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, the dates don't add up at all, and he didn't file anything, and she didn't file anything. And the last thing, it was an inactive case, and the last thing that happened here was an automatic withdrawal from an attorney that was on for her. So then she actually became a pro se litigant in 2018 after the divorce in 2017. But I'll tell you something that that really kind of piqued us is when we found out how she left the marriage when they went to Virginia. She told her parents to come. They got a U-Haul. They came to Virginia, packed everything up while he was at work. And it was poof, gone. And when he got back home, and I was like, I think that kind of stuck with him, where it was if he wants to tell people that he has no idea how this happened and he was so in the dark about whatever, great. But at the end of the day, I think that was something that he couldn't get over. It messed with him, I think. And he can be, I'm curious to hear more about that. Should this even go any further than where it's going to go? But the technology that was used in this case is if this goes to being in a courtroom, it's going to be stuff that we've never seen before.
Really? So do you think there was any motive to this? Any of this court stuff trigger any potential motive in your opinion, or just an unrelated matter?
Yeah, no, I think that this has been something her friends, people that were close to her, when she left, he was messaging her and sending stuff to her parents' house back in the day in 2017 and 16 and saying things like, when I get my signing bonus, I'm going to buy a house right next to you. You're never not going to live without me, stuff like that. And so she never referred to him by his name. Some of the family didn't even know his name until the Tuesday of when this happened. So she was always calling him the monster. She was never telling, people didn't know his name that were new to her new group of friends post, when Spencer's world, And so, but she was still talking about the fact that, he's just awful. I hope I never see him again in my life, never talk to him again, things like that. And so I got to talk to people though that knew Michael as well. Growing up in Zanesville, going to the private Catholic school that he went to, people were shocked there. They were like, this is crazy. No way. He's always wanted to be a doctor, and not just a doctor, but a surgeon. And he had his path already set, and then you talk to the friends that knew both of them from the point of when they were in college or before college, and then during college, after college, then when she was married to Mike, and then, you know, her life with then Spencer. So I went out and got a lot of, I think, good intel that I shouldn't say I went out and got it. People actually came and wanted to like set some, I think, record straight, or more or less like, hey, like, you seem trustworthy and like you're there and you're like trying to help. I want to help type of thing. So I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Columbus Police Department. And you know me, I'm really critical of the police. So I'm really proud of the Columbus Police Department. They've done a lot over the past 4 or 5 years, and our homicide rate has gone like ridiculously down. And it's because of this technology, in my opinion, that they're using.
So we kind of got to the what, but not how. Can you go into how this happened?
I think he planned it.
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as somebody said in the chat, did the air trigger him? No, I believe what triggered him was how this all got left back when she left Virginia. So the air, because nobody knew about the air. I think this has been something that he's been thinking about for a long time. And when he finally moved, he was living too far away. Like he was living in Vegas, then he's living in California. He moves then to Chicago, which we can finally put him in buying a place in July of 2025. And now you're within driving range, you know?
Right.
So I think that he's always thought about it, because he used the phrase that he would kill her in quotes. But he was never, every single person I talked to, not a single person said that he was ever violent. It was just, he was emotionally abusive, and how he was emotionally abusive a lot was like the silent treatment. But nobody's ever seen him ever, any friend, any acquaintance that I talked to, ever physically violent. So when he moved to Chicago and was living there, I think now you're within driving range. And so what I was looking into recently is, why did he pick the hospital that he decided to work at? Because he was living in Chicago, but he drove an hour and a half away to this hospital in Rockford. And when I started digging a little bit more, I think he actually specifically picked that hospital because of the residency program. For when he would be on call, there's actually residents there that could buffer the calls that, or the rounds that would be needed to be made. And so his plan, I think, was all along that I'm going to go on an on-call shift. I'm going to leave my phones. I'm going to drive. I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to drive back. I truly believe that he thought it out a lot. Wow. And then there was talks about hiring a hitman. That's why I'm really curious to see the footage. The person that they say is walking in the back lot. I mean, obviously the police have to say that that's him, and I'll tell you why, because otherwise that's putting somebody else there that's a reasonable doubt, you know?
Right. Good point.
So they have to go with the fact that that's him, or you're going to be saying that that person's the person that committed the crime. And what's interesting about it is that view and angle is a person walking towards the house, not walking away. So that has to be before the crime was committed.
You know I'm sorry, go ahead, please continue.
And what was the most interesting about it is that where the guy was walking from is closest to where this police station area was, the Moody, they call it Moody Hall. It's a police station. And I'm just like, what the fuck was this person thinking? Like, you're doing this up, like when I say a block, I'm talking literally maybe 4 football fields away from the police department.
Really? Where the house was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And so your response time, and then if you ever just a couple neighborhood surveillances, and you would just see how many cameras and are just not just the safety police. Here, actually, can I share my screen for a second? You want to see something crazy?
This one question that Law Wifey has right there, the flock cameras. Can you speak to that real quick?
Oh, what are the flock cameras? The flock cameras are LPR readers that do not require a search warrant.
License plate.
Yeah, license plate readers that do not require a search warrant. But what they do is they also have the ability to do, if you were to type in, if you're looking for a car and you don't have a license plate at first. So let's say that in the beginning, what they said is we have this person walking and getting into a vehicle, and then we can see this vehicle leave from like, let's say like a Ring camera. And it looks like it could be like a Honda Accord. Let's just throw that out there. If you were to say Honda Accord, it'll then, when you type up the make and model or what you think it looks like, or like a Dodge Charger that has a stripe down the middle of it or something like, then it'll go through the database and find vehicles that match that description that have been seen on other cameras with the license plate reader then.
Wow.
So it's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they have like facial recognition stuff. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, but the crazy part is that you don't need a search warrant as long as you have a case number, then you can get into this system. And that to me is what I was looking into, is like, please, Columbus, please don't do anything crazy and violate anybody's rights. So stuff gets tossed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and that's why I think that the flock cameras were used, because of how they talked about it, how they were able to, that they said that they were able to track this car literally moving down. It went all the way to Rockford, Illinois. But the craziest part is that it's 6 hours and 44 minutes without stopping to get one way.
Wow.
That means you'd have to put gas cans in your car, or you'd have to stop at a gas station. And then we also have toll roads that have the license plate. Once you're on those, like, you're going to be known. You couldn't take the toll roads. It's going to make it even longer. So that's why I believe this was so methodically thought out, but he didn't take into account the flock cameras, which I think he's over here probably saying, well, how would I ever get to that if they're going to come to me right away? I'm the ex-husband, right? But then they see that I was on call, my phones are here, I'm in this geofence, I'm golden. And he was, until that's, I think, what blew up his spot was they started considering, did he hire a hitman? But then the flock cameras came into play with, we have a car.
Oh, the audience absolutely loves you. I want to make an observation, and then we're going to give you the floor to share the screen to display whatever you'd like.
It had to do with the flock cameras. It just shows you where they're located.
Sure.
And so what I have the, I just had it ready and queued because I figured that people would want to know about it.
Yeah.
So this is just for your guys's, like, you just be like, wow, this is nuts. Here we go. So this is the LPR maps, community maps right here. And
oh, here it goes. Okay. There we go.
So when I go allow, and I'll just zoom in from my, take a look at this.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So this is what we were doing, is we came over here. So there's the Arena District, short north, high, and then right here. This is their, so see, this is 4th Street. Mm-hmm. And they're right here on the corner of 4th and 8th, and it's the second house on the left there. Do you see this? You see that camera right there?
Yeah.
Okay, now check this out. That's a one-way street going on 4th, but when you back out, do you see these ones right here?
Yes.
And that shows you. So what I did is I overlapped that with the 27 cameras that we found from this, and you're able to see where any dead spots would be. And then I hit up the people whose cameras would come, like, really, really, like, be important if something was missed. But right here on 11th, see this big building here? Moody Hall Neighborhood Policing Center.
Yep, I see that.
Okay, yeah. You see that? So that's a police station, basically. And right here, there's 11th, and then there's 9th, and then they're right here in 8th. Like I was telling you how close you are. Yeah. And so all these, so 4th is one way going up, and over here, Summit is one way coming down. And so you're like, 8th is one way. 11th is, you can go either way, but 8th and 9th are one way streets. So they were in a block that's totally one way all day. Like, it's just, you got 4th one way, you got Summit one way, so you have your vertical and horizontal points. You're in a box unless you walked outside of that. And so I just wanted you guys to see that that's what we were looking at. when we did this.
Now, was there any reports of him stalking her prior to this? Because for her to call him a monster, I feel like that's I don't know, some deep feelings there.
There was somebody from the news that asked that question, like, hey, the neighbor said that they saw him a couple days before or something like that. Just so we're clear, not a single person that I talked to ever once said that. But not saying that they had to tell me everything that they knew or anything like that. But it was, I'd never, in what I was doing, I was looking into him, and not a single person reached out and said, you know, I saw that man, and I'm going to look through my camera. Because that's what you would want to do, is look through those cameras, whatever day you think that you saw him, and go find him being there.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I will tell you this. They were out of town the 25th, 26th. They had people in town 27th, 28th. And I really want to know how he knew that it would just be them in that house on the 29th night going into the 30th. Because that's where I was like, please tell me that no one else is going to get arrested here with helping him. You know, a friend who's pretending to be a friend was actually feeding him information all these years or something like that. That was what I was afraid of.
You know, the chat is talking about how amazingly detailed you are, which is kind of what. Are we done? Are we good with this?
Yeah, you can take it down. I was trying to drop it. There you go.
Yeah. You know, which is what attracted to me to your content. And one of the things, an illustration of that was earlier, you're thinking about second order effects that most of us, I don't think Bia and I, and most people aren't. As you said that there was another man that you saw walking behind the house, or what did you say, in the alley? And they're like, well, they didn't want to identify that because that could be probable cause for his defense. We wouldn't have even thought about that. You know, like,
yeah, like giving reasonable. Yeah. So yeah. I felt like when the chief is saying, do you believe that the guy that's behind the house that you put out that video, do you believe that that's him? And it's like, she has no other choice but to say yes to that, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're basically mounting a third-party culpability defense. That's like the person that you put out, the person of interest, is not him, and it's the person that actually did it. And that's actually walking to the house. And so I said that, and that's walking away from that police building. And I'm like, I'm telling you, man, I don't believe that that's the person. I don't believe that person that's walking is the killer. Really? But correct. They don't want to talk about it just because it would provide that probable cause, because they can finger, McKee is that person. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That person has a very distinct walk. That person has a very distinct pigeon toe on the left toe. That person was wearing very interesting shoes. And yeah. Oh, the other thing is that on those flock cameras, there's something called Raven, which is a gunshot. They're able to detect gunshots. And we have something that's also called Shot Spotter by Sound Thinking. And I think they're going to use that to show that they had it in that area. None of that was detected. So that's why they believe that a silencer was used. And also, I think they're going to use the Ring camera, because they basically said that this crime happened at 3:52 a.m. And for them to be able to zero in and say that the crime happened at 3:52, I'm thinking you're dealing with digital footprint of that. So it could be somebody wearing a watch that talks about your heart rate, and then you're dead. You know, I'm sorry to say that, but something like that. Or maybe they got up from the bed, and so the watch then even just moved into a couple steps and then never, took any more. But I think that there's a digital footprint of why they're saying 3:52. Like John O'Keefe. Yeah. And there's talks about that camera that has the person walking was between like at 3:40, because the person, I think that they have, they're able to track somebody walking to a car, and they're leaving the house at 4:01. So, and I'll give you guys a little tidbit because I like you. When they let when the three people had to enter that home, you could be destroying how the person got in. And so you're touching everything. So your fingerprints are all over everything now. Also, then when you walk in there, any type of like, if it was snowing, it was not like heavy, but if they tracked in dirt or whatever, whose is what now. Okay. And then everybody's been talking about, okay, the kids weren't harmed, right?
Mhm.
Why weren't the kids harmed? There's a dog in there. Why didn't the dog bark? And I think it's going to come out that the killer locked the door of the master bedroom before he left to like close it so that nobody could get in. And so that means that the kids would be protected. And I don't know if that was part of making it seem like somebody closer than him, or if you're also trying to keep the kids from using a phone to call 911. You know, like you teach your kids, even if they're 4, to hopefully grab it, use a phone and be able to swipe it. That's why some people don't have even passwords on their phone so that their kid could, you know, back when we were younger, we were taught to go grab our landline, you know what I mean? And then you press 911. And at that point, even if you don't say anything, right, they're going to come. But if you can't get to a phone, then the kids, then, you know, the 4-year-old couldn't even call 911 if they wanted to, because there's nothing there. But that would contaminate how they got, like, then I have to pop that lock to get into the master bedroom.
Now, did you find it strange how when the husband was only like an hour late for work, that all of a sudden everybody was this worried just because he was never late for work before?
Nope. It was because of where he lived and how far of a drive he had. So he had to drive an hour and a half to get there. So that means, you know, like for me, if I was to try to be like, okay, I'm leaving at 7 and I only have to drive 30 minutes, but I'm supposed to be there at 7:15. I can make it. Like, I'm just going to fly. You know, I'm going to blow these lights or whatever. I'm not going to call anybody. And I'm just going to try to slide in there. This is a guy that had to drive an hour and a half. And so when you're leaving your house, let's say at 7 and you have to be there at 8, like there's no way, like, you know, so far out that you're going to be late because you have that hour and a half drive. That's what I think. I think that A, he's never late. B, I think I would be worried if somebody got in a car accident, you know? And why wouldn't he just call? Be like, and then I can't get in touch with him. And I try to call her and she's got 2 kids. And I can't get in touch with her. And now we can't get in touch with anybody. And I think it just was poor kind of execution with a wellness check, but who knows how to make wellness checks? You know what I mean? Like, that's just, nobody teaches you, hey, this is what you need to say. I just think if things would have been said, honestly though, it didn't matter. The guy went to the fucking wrong house. Jeez. But no, I think it would be awkward if you didn't think something was wrong with your dentist. Like, the practice can't continue. He's the only dentist there.
Right.
What are we doing here? Like, he's not calling us to even just let us know that he's going to be late, or so. No, I don't think so at all.
I do that at my work. I mean, there's certain people that are a little older, and if they're not there, I'm calling to find out where they're at. Just because I worry. So yeah. I
mean, luckily for the kids too, that they got the help there, and these kids were home alone the whole day. So I mean, that you know, the employee's concern for him actually, I mean, helped those kids for sure.
Well, and thank God they just, I mean, usually the cops, at least you can call the cops back and ask them, like, hey, were you able to send somebody out to that house? Like, were they there? Like, when I saw that there wasn't even a reach out back from the cops to the people that called, you know. Also, the other thing is that because of where they were located, like how far away his office was, that's where it came into, I need to call people that are closer because I'm not going to get to the house for an hour and a half. So we called the police, right? Hey, and then we're calling other people to see who's available to, hey, you live like, 10 minutes away. Can you swing by? That's why the 3 different people ended up going to the house the way that it was. It wasn't anything, but if the police would have put out the truth in the beginning, then nobody would have thought anything was crazy. Like, they're going there because you guys didn't go to the right house.
Right.
And then the 911 call got put out in pieces where it seems like, wait, were these people just like looking in and they were able to see like it made it sounded like it was the nefarious part where the 911 callers, and they just weren't. And what was upsetting to me is I said, screw this. I'm about to put it on blast because these people shouldn't be attacked. The cop didn't go to the right home. And those people knew that. And they're over here because it's an investigation. They don't want to come out and say that because they're being told, hey, just don't. And I'm like, hold my beer. This is crazy. Like, these people do not need to be attacked. That's not what happened. And so here you go. But whatever. I tried to go to a press conference. They're like, hey, you're not with one of the main stations. I'm like, hey, your main stations are shit. Like,
And
come on.
YouTube is the future. So
Yeah.
there's
It
that.
is. Yeah, the
It
most
is.
watched channel in
Red
America.
Toronto.
And there, we have one of your fans in the chat, another firebrand like you, ironically named Boston Brandy.
Oh, I love
so-
her, by the way. Like, seriously, thank you, Brandy, for always being like just true to yourself. That's all I gotta say.
She's the best. She's a beast, man. There's so many interesting comments here. It's like you guys in the chat are just absolutely destroying it tonight because you have one interesting comment or question after another, and I'm gonna try to get to them. So if I somehow miss you, let me know that I missed it, so I'll get it to Lana. And Lana's truth and transparency is pinned to the top of the chat. So if you're not already subscribed, which I can't imagine any of you are not, but if you're not, it's at the top of the chat. So please go ahead and grab that link and sign up.
And I want to tell you guys, I have all my Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe material here.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I wanted to tell you is I'm all about timelines, and the one thing that I wanted to show is the angle that I always came at with the Karen Reed case, and I know why they didn't go this route for the criminal trial, but holy shit, wait till you can see how the civil case is, if I was in charge of anything, how I would attack it, which is gonna mind blow people, because I don't think that some people haven't even seen this stuff. I was trying to get it out to the masses, and because of who I was, and they're like, no, don't give her any airtime or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I thought this was all in it for like the truth and fighting corruption.
Not only can we get it to the masses, but we can also get it to the legal team. Either Nick Rocco, we could actually get it to David Yannetti, who could get it to Alan Jackson, even though we don't have direct content. So yeah, absolutely. We would love to see that. And, you know,
it was,
can we ask a couple questions before you go into Jen McCabe? Because there's nothing more
fun I'm here.
Than,
you guys,
than fingering
That's
Jen
way,
McCabe. And just, because boy, the Grant Smith Ellis put out something that he believes that Jen McCabe was personally financing a portion of the prosecution against Karen by hiring Marty Kraft and that PI agency to dig information, and then it was then passed to the prosecution, which she was then a witness and helping the prosecution. But that aside, Lana, you are amazing. Like, I guess so. First, talk about golf scholarship and then basketball, and then I want to get into like sort of your career here in true crime.
Oh God. Okay.
So
I was offered a couple of full ride scholarships and ultimately chose the University of Cincinnati over some Southern schools.
Ooh, SEC's angry. They're angry now. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I loved Cincinnati. Reminded me of, I'm from Cleveland. We had the best travel schedule. We flew everywhere. Cincinnati flew everywhere. We were flying to Hawaii. We were flying West Coast, East Coast. We had just the best. The coach was phenomenal, and we benefited from it. So I started as a freshman. Played against some of the people that ended up going pro. I did not go pro, but I thought I could. Now, the only thing that I do regret one thing, which is I should have fought a little harder in terms of I put my sports before my academics. That was my choice, though. But at the end of the day, you're not. You know what the percentage is to even try to even go pro? Like, it's just ridiculous.
In golf or basketball, are we talking about?
In any sport, honestly.
Any sport, yeah, it's
even men's, women's. It doesn't matter. It's like it's like point. It's not even on the scale. It's just so low. But they treat you though that like, hey, they tell you, hey, you're a student athlete. No, motherfucker, you know I'm basically an athlete student because you're telling me I can't go into certain fields that I want to study. Like I want to be a lawyer. Those classes though that I wanted to take for my undergrad, man, those are like in the middle of practice times. You can't pick something else. I'm like, what? Okay, then I'm going to be a teacher. Same thing. Education has a lot of those afternoon classes. We have practice during those times. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay. I'm going to go into business. How about criminal justice, Lana? I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm not going to go be a cop. Like, what do you mean? That's how I thought. I was like, what? No, I'm not going to be some social worker. Like, what are you talking about? No. Anyways, long story short, yeah. So I kind of do like a business minor. I end up running and buying a bar, running and buying businesses and doing business work until COVID. So I was like, I didn't even use anything to do with any of my academics until COVID. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I guess I could like somehow use my background. And so I was like, okay, well, let's start a podcast. It was like literally, I wanted to start a nonprofit. And then I was like, I'm not going on YouTube. I was like, everyone on YouTube is fucking liars. That's how I felt about YouTube. It was all like everyone's lying out here. And I was like, let me go promote this nonprofit. Yeah. So that's how this all happened.
So just, I also lived in Cleveland. Well, I lived in Mentor.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sure you know. Yeah, for like 2 years. So I just want to say #1 LeBron James fan here.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm
That's
not
good.
from Ohio, but I went to work up there. So I lived in Mentor. I actually lived
Oh,
in
I
Painesville,
grew up in
but I worked
Willoughby.
in Mentor. What's that? In Willoughby. Oh, okay.
Willoughby Hills, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful area.
Yeah, we loved it.
And so yeah, I have a little bit of familiarity. So how did you decide when you were playing golf? How did you decide to walk on for basketball?
Because I was good enough.
Mhm.
They were a top 20 team.
Mhm.
Knew a lot of the girls because I played against them in high school.
Mhm.
So I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. So I walked on, made the team. We went to the Sweet 16.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
It was just nonstop sports though. I was in golf in fall and spring, and basketball was like a lot. But the best time of my life, man. We worked hard, partied harder.
Yeah, I was a college
Wouldn't
walk on,
change it.
so that resonated with me as well. So yeah.
But check this out. I actually counted against, because I had a scholarship in golf.
Mhm.
Back then, if you had a scholarship and you were to walk on another sports team,
Mhm.
you counted against that sports team as well with your scholarship. So, and the reason why is because let's say that, oh my God, we have all these rowing scholarships.
Mhm.
Let's give these basketball players rowing scholarships, and they're just walk-ons with basketball. But so that's what it was designed to prevent.
Uh-huh.
So back in when I was there, if there would have been a full roster with all the scholarships, that I wouldn't have been able to walk on unless I wanted to give up my scholarship, because I counted against the girls' basketball team as well. So that's since changed. Thank God. It should. Well, now these fucking kids get paid. I'm like, man.
I know. Like
and
you're
I
just
have money.
Yeah, you're a little bit
Dude,
late,
we were
you know.
like, that'd have been, yeah, it was, it's just totally night and day. But yeah, I counted against the girls' basketball team too. So thank God at the time that I did it, they weren't using all their scholarships because I counted against them.
You were good enough, so it didn't matter. You know, they would have. You were good enough to.
My coach said that my hype was just the environment. You know, you just bring like a certain piece to you. It was always. I'm not like a Debbie Downer. I'm a fuck. Whatever it is. We're gonna turn chicken shit into chicken soup. Like that's just my motto.
You're like her. You're just like Boston Bia. That's
yeah.
her.
I mean, like you make what you want in life. It's just that's so like, if you want to, I don't know, kumbaya and fucking woes me land, go over there. But no, like whatever you want to do, just go do it. You know? Yeah.
Positive mindset definitely. You know, it's definitely a lot better, because then you see things in you try to extract the positive, whereas when you're just negative all the time, that's all you see and you're blinded by the negative.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, look at that awesome smile I'm hearing right there from Lana. Okay.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of fans here. Both of you guys got a lot of fans. Between the two of you and Boston Brandy, I think you guys got the whole thing sewed up. All right, let's go. I'm going to turn the heater down in here because, man, it's not as cold out tonight as I thought. Would you please go into your bring up your stuff about the case and where you think they should go with the civil trial? I think everyone's going to be fascinated.
Well, I know everybody thinks that Jennifer McCabe made that Google search, and I'm not. That Google search was made, but I think that if you look a little closer, it wasn't Jennifer McCabe that made it. Somebody made it with her phone, and I think that it's right there. And what I did back in the day, let me see if I can pull this up. If you share this little screen,
So are you thinking it's Matt?
Yeah,
on her phone.
Yeah, it's somebody. It's it's definitely somebody. Here, let me. So I have a. There we go. I have a. They call it an Elmo in the law world, but it's a projector, so you can just put whatever you want under there. But what I did here is this is Jennifer McCabe's iPhone and Jennifer McCabe's watch, and I separated them. So I took the health data from the phone, and then I took the health data from her watch. And when you do this, it creates a completely, like, I just want people to see this. Mm-hmm. So let's say that Jennifer McCabe wasn't wearing a watch that night. Okay. That means everything in this column, you would have never had this data. Okay. Yep. You see that?
Yep.
And so the only data that you would have had is you would have saw that Jennifer McCabe made 61 steps between this time to this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then from 12:07, you see from 12:41, the phone didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moved from 12:41 in 31 seconds to 12:43 for 36. And then again, it has a huge gap there. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
So 134. Yep.
Yeah. So, but what Jennifer McCabe wearing a watch, if you actually separate the watch data from the phone data, mm-hmm. Okay, what I want to show you guys is that big, so back when it was the criminal trial, you have people that are saying things like, I'm walking over to the window and I'm looking out the window, mm-hmm. and I'm seeing there's an SUV, there's this. And she's talking about the fact that she goes, remember Alan Jackson made a big deal about this. So you walked there, then you sat back down, then you walked back over. And how many times did you do that? Do you remember that big old thing that he did?
I don't, but Bia probably does.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So, and it was a big deal about, and each time you walked over, right, you kept saying that this vehicle's inching up, right?
Right.
And it's going from being over by the quote unquote, the front of the driveway to then now it's by the, in front of the mailbox, and now it's up by the flagpole. Each time you're walking back and forth, this vehicle is moving. Okay. And then the other questions were and each time you went there, you didn't see anybody just ram a motherfucker, right? Like you didn't see anybody get blasted, right?
Right. I remember that.
So I want you guys to take a look here. Do you see how her iWatch that's on her person, it's on her arm,
mm-hmm.
from 12:25
mm-hmm.
to, you see 12:35 there?
Yep.
For that 10-minute period there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is so critical with this case. Jennifer McCabe does not move. She is sitting down either on a couch, in a chair. She physically is not moving her body for those 10 minutes right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And why that's huge is if you go back and listen to the case, what time does Karen, like this is all the time frame that you're saying that John's getting out of a Lexus, right? And mm-hmm. he's walking up or he's about to get blasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here at 12:29, remember the phone call that John supposedly got from Jennifer McCabe's phone, but it, John answered it, but over in terms of what Jennifer's talking about is it was a butt dial, the 12:29 one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But look at this. She doesn't move. She's not able to walk over to the front door and look out the window.
Mm-hmm.
She's not doing any of that. Okay. The other thing is that when they leave the waterfall bar,
mm-hmm.
okay, we know that they leave after 12 because you're watching the clock tick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what this is indicative of is she goes outside and then she goes to her car. When you started your car, then you're coming back out, then you're coming back into your car. But right here, the last time that she does it, she goes and talks to John.
Mhm.
You can see how that stops at 12:07 and 41 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
See, so 12:07, 02 seconds to 12:07, 26. So that matches, but look at this. 12:10 and 45 seconds
Mhm.
to 12:11 and 44 seconds. This is her getting out of the vehicle that last time to go talk to John when he then finally came out of the bar. Then they're getting back into their car,
Mhm.
okay, and driving over to her sister's house, right? And if you see here, remember how she had the phone? It was on Bluetooth because Matt could hear the conversation. Well, guess what? She then gets out of the vehicle when she gets to her sister's. See how from 12:12 to 12:18, there's no steps there. But when you get to 12:18 and 50 seconds, she's getting out of the car. But look at the phone. See how it says 12:19 and 22 seconds? She's getting out while that phone is still in use in that car.
Ooh.
And she goes inside and she runs inside the house because she needs to say happy birthday,
To little Brian. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes. And then now if she goes back out to the car, guess who's supposed to be coming there to pick up Colin? Well, her daughter, right?
Mhm.
Take a look at this. Do you know how difficult it is to only register on your phone one step? See that?
Yes.
That means you're about to get out of a vehicle and you take a step out of the car, but then you're not going to get out. So you're about to get out and I take my step and then I'm putting my foot back in the car, right? And then 4 steps only, same thing, about to get out, get back in. And I firmly believe that she was inside a vehicle in the driveway from 12:25 until 12:35. And she sat there in the car in that driveway because that's
that
what
would mean that would mean that she was out there when John got out of the car and she potentially wasn't in the house when something happened to him.
Or she was preoccupied if she's talking to her daughter, right? She gets into her daughter's car and she's talking to her, okay? And so she maybe misses John. And John goes, but he goes into the wrong door and he goes into the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because hear me out on this. When she doesn't move for 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes, okay? Think about this. How could you literally watch a vehicle move up and do whatever you're saying or you're trying to say?
Mhm.
So what you would use in the civil court is she's already said what she said in the criminal court, that she got up and moved. What you're now going to just show is that she was 1,000% lying because from 12:25 to 12:35, she doesn't move a muscle. So she couldn't have been getting up and going over and looking. But in a criminal case, you want her to, hey, if she wants to say that, guys, she's like basically our eyewitness that shows that Karen didn't hit him because Karen pulls away because Karen has to be on the Wi-Fi at a certain time, which is she had to leave before this. Okay, in order to be on the Wi-Fi. Karen's on the Wi-Fi at what time?
12:36.
Exactly. Okay, now ready for this?
So that means she drove the 4 miles already.
Well, yeah, Karen's long gone,
Yeah.
and she's been sitting down the whole time. And if people are like, maybe even Jen's over here, like, wow, how the fuck does this girl know this? Because I'm over here of the opinion that, the guys are running the show in all of Canton. For people to think that Jennifer McCabe runs the show, like, come on, man. You think Jennifer McCabe is higher up than Brian Albert? You think that she's the higher up than, come on, man. Brian Higgins? No. But her phone could have been used in a way. So check this out. If she doesn't know what's going on in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just show you what happens here.
I just want to tell people you can zoom in on your screen right now. I can see this perfectly clearly what Lana's showing. You just need to zoom in.
Do you need me to?
I'm seeing it perfectly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
I can zoom in if you want me to go.
I'm good. I don't know if the audience let us know, but I'm seeing it perfectly. So,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like to me. Is that, remember how everybody was talking about having a good time, bouncing all
Mhm.
around? This is what this is indicative of. It's her going back into the house here, but see at 1:48, she's looking for somebody between 12:35 and 12:45. She's taking 148 steps. Okay.
Somebody or a phone?
Well, no, I think that she's honestly looking like, where's John? Because when he walked past, hey, is that you? The things that she's writing, hey, is that you? A pull up behind me type of thing. I think the pull up behind me was actually meant to go to her daughter because her daughter was coming there. But John was the last person that she was talking to, and she accidentally sent that. I've done it before. I send a text, and I'm not. That text should have went to my kid because hey, just pulling behind. Yes, pulling behind me. Pulling behind me fits perfectly with Allie coming there. If it was actually to go to her. Next is that if she's literally like, where is John, right? So she makes these 148 steps. But look at from 12:35 to 12:45. Do you see how her phone though? Mm-hmm. The phone doesn't start going until 12:41. Okay, you see that?
Yep.
Because if I don't know how much she was drinking. If she's looking for John and then she's like, oh my God, I left my phone in the car still. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then that's why by the time she gets out to the car to pick up her phone, that's why there's only 16 steps because she's walking back in. And then when the people are inside talking about, yeah, she plugged her phone in. This is that point is she's plugging her phone in and then her phone doesn't move again from, you see 12:43. Totally it doesn't move again until 1:34. Yeah. That's the time frame. And so for these people, this is when it's like, she's just like, okay, I guess that John, she's like over here, like trying to call him, right? Like, where the fuck is he? Okay, I guess. And then she's looking out. Okay, the cars, I guess they went home. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I think people around her didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like, they're, whatever's going on, mm-hmm. Jen's doing her own, like, where the hell's John? She's calling. But this is where it should be like just mind blowing to people is when she decides that it's time to go home, right? Mm-hmm. I'm leaving. We're leaving. Do you see these 255 steps?
Yeah.
From 124 to 134?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot. Look at nothing else is like that. It's all broken up like this. Except right here, she is moving nonstop from pacing? 124 to 134. And so all I said is let's keep this in our back pocket. Let's see what the rest of it shows. Like, but she's clearly trying to look for something. And I know that I'm a friend. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I'm looking. I can't find, and then look at, remember right here? Look at her phone wasn't moving at all. She forgot that, oh my God, I had it plugged in over there. That's what it looks like to me. Cause then she, boom, right here. Okay. I found it. See 134 in 3 seconds, 134, 2 seconds. It's like, now it's moving in concert. See that?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. I think what this tells me is that Jen McCabe needs a rapid charger because it's just, I'm just kidding. That's not my analysis, everybody. I'm just kidding.
Well, then here, now if you want to put in the testimony, which is we walk outside, right? We get into the vehicle. My husband's or mine, big old Tahoe. And we get into the vehicle, right? And then remember when Sarah Levinson says, hey, Matt McCabe went back inside because he left his jacket. Okay. So another option is is that when Jen's in the vehicle and then here she takes 8 steps at 1:35 and 53 seconds to this, just in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And that's included right in here with the 35. But then this 136 to 144, 302 seconds.
Steps.
Steps within this 10-minute period, right? But look over here. Do you see how the phone is in the car again? And whatever she's doing here at 302 for the 302 steps, she's like, it goes, you see how this only has 35 during that period? Mm-hmm. It means the phone is not possibly with the watch person because these 35 steps are counted for right here and here. See how 35 matches up perfectly with 35? That means all of this is happening. So we're able to account this during this time. But the eight steps here and the 302 here, this is being taken with somebody without the phone. Okay. And it's almost like if you were to, well, we'll come back. We'll just come back to it for a second. Because then they get home, and I want you to see. I personally believe that Matt McCabe was trying to hide the phone from her. I believe that Matt McCabe had the phone, and he was acting like, come on, let's go. Like, you thought it. So, like, she goes back inside then after he goes inside. She goes inside, and she's walking around trying to find this phone. Meanwhile, Matt had taken it and had hid it, okay, from her, and acting like, don't worry, we'll come back here tomorrow. We'll find it. It doesn't matter. Like, let's leave. Okay. That's what I believe that this is even about. Is that, but at the end of the day, their Wi-Fi triggers that they get home at 2:13. But do you see how the watch moves at 2:13 and 20 seconds? But here, 2:13 and 6 seconds, how it starts first is the actual phone starts moving first. Mm-hmm. And then the person that has the watch on is moving 13 seconds after.
Yeah.
But if it was moving in concert, like see how close they are? It's just like a second apart.
Yes.
Okay. So this to me seems like the person that has the phone is beginning to walk first, which if I was going to get out of my car once I'm home and then I walk around the car to help then my wife out, I'm then going to rack up these steps first. And that's why then there's only 9 steps with her walking into the house. Okay. So they're both in the house here. Mm-hmm. Here's her phone. Her phone doesn't take any more steps from 2:14. You see that? Mm-hmm. You see all these steps?
Yes.
Guess what happens right here? Her steps are moving with her watch, and then she climbs a flight of stairs with just the watch and not the phone. The phone never goes up a flight of stairs. Mm-hmm. So that would mean that the phone is still on the first level. You understand?
Yes.
She goes up a flight of stairs. The watch registers the steps and the flight. What should be happening here is that these two should be going in concert up the stairs and both registering a flight. Only the watch does, not the phone. That means it's still on the first level. Then this is where Matt McCabe. So she's upstairs walking around. Mm-hmm. No flight of stairs for the phone. It's on the ground level. Mm-hmm. He then pulls it out, sits on a lovely little couch there, and guess what time the quote-unquote house loan to die is? 2:27, right?
Yep.
Well, who could possibly have that phone if it didn't go up the flight of stairs and Jen went up the flight of stairs? Who has the phone?
Fat Matt.
Do you see how the phone or the watch is upstairs? You see between here 2:27 to 2:23, she's walking around. But do you see how she does not move from 2:23 to 2:32? You see how there's no movement there? That means she couldn't walk back downstairs to go and get the phone to then be the person that does the 2:27 house long to die. The only person that could be the house long to die is Matt McCabe, whoever has the phone on the first level. I tried to simply explain this just like this. This is 101 logic to me.
Love it. Love it. In fact, we got to give her a gong.
And then guess what? There's even more like that's just totally compounding it. So then when does this iPhone go upstairs for the first time? Well, guess what?
4:56.
After she wakes, when she's getting up and going to the bathroom and doing all this crazy shit, you see how the phone not moving? She gets up, she goes and pees at between 3:50, 3:51. Well, remember how Matt remember the phone call that comes in with at 4:55? That's going to be the Julie call. Well, look at who only could possibly have the phone at 4:55.
Wow.
On the first level, Matt. Okay. So Jen McCabe he would have to, in the digital evidence proves that he didn't. The going up a flight of stairs to take this to her had to have happened here. And guess when the first time that this phone goes up a flight of stairs? After Karen Reed is saying that she's coming over. So Jen McCabe then goes downstairs, but they don't ever count you like for going down a flight of stairs.
Right.
But we know that she had to go down a flight of stairs because guess what happens right here in this area? This is the first time at the 5:28 mark. this iWatch and phone in concert go up the flight of stairs together then. And that was, remember, she's coming over to the house. It's like, oh my God. So everything that's been being said about that whole morning is blown. Matt wasn't laying in bed and hearing, tag, tag, tag. None of that should happen on none of that should happen on a bedroom level. That happened all down and had to be on the first level. Okay. So you couldn't be laying in bed and hearing, chat, chat, chat. The phone isn't upstairs yet, you pieces of shit. Okay. So then, now to make sure that I was 1000% accurate in my work, I said, wait, let's go to when they're actually at the crime scene. Right.
Okay.
Well, here we go. So, remember when they leave Jen McCabe's, they're going to actually go to John's house first.
Yep.
And she says that she goes upstairs. Jen McCabe says that she goes upstairs. Well, guess what? Her watch nor the iPhone register any flights of stairs going up. She never went upstairs when she went into John's house. Number one. That's proof. Like, so there would need to be a flight of stairs here, and there's not.
Okay.
It's right here. Okay.
Wow.
Between here and here, see this?
Yep.
So she gets in a vehicle and she's driving. So from 5:36 to 5:47, that's the time of driving over to John's. You would be expecting here between 5:47 and 5:52 that's where the whole registering a flight of stairs has to happen. No flight of stairs is registered. She does not go up a flight of stairs with either her iWatch on nor the phone. So this is not going up and checking John's room. This is not going upstairs to talk to Kaylee. None of that happened. If you talked to Kaylee, it was on the first level based on the digital evidence. Okay. Then they get in a vehicle from 5:52. They're back in the vehicle because she walks back. And now they're driving. So 6:03. So, and then they don't get, so you're going to watch all these little steps because then she gets out of the car and now it's about, she walks over to the body. Then she walks back to her vehicle to call 911. Okay. So like that's this time frame. Then she calls 911. 911, they come out there. Remember, now it's all about Jen. You have to go inside and get them to wake up. And now we got to see her walk. And supposedly it was her walking to go inside to then go upstairs to get her sister, right? Well, guess what? Two things. First of all, do you see between 6:12 and 6:17, that's when these steps are taken?
Yes.
Okay. Do you notice how 6:17 to 6:26, there's no steps taken with her iWatch?
Yes.
But during the time that she would have been stationary in the back of a cop car with Karen Reed and Carrie Roberts, this is the time is between 6:17 and 50 seconds to 6:26. That's when she's in the back of the cop car with those two. Okay. What happens here? Her phone is passed off to somebody somehow because the phone is moving without the iWatch wearer moving.
Wow.
Do you see this? Okay.
Wow.
Guess what time the Google search is in the morning that happened?
That time at 6:19?
It's 6:23.
Wow. That's
so
right.
The person that Google searched the House Long to Die the wrong way for number one, and then dialed it or looked Google search it the right way for number two, is happening when this was passed off and in the hands of another person because the iWatch wearer did not move from 6:17 and 50 seconds to 6:26. Did not move. This starts 2 minutes after because it was passed off sneakily.
To
here.
Who?
I believe Matt. Because that's why Matt wanted to see where he shows up on the body-worn cameras of people. That's why he wanted to see the body-worn cameras. He wanted to see where people's cameras were to be able to catch when he arrived on scene.
And he got Jen's phone. He got close to her. And
then this is how you can also prove it. Then when she has to go inside to walk up the stairs to go get her sister, which is happening here, a couple things happen. Her phone, when he has it, calls himself. Like it was like call and then rejected call. You guys remember like those 3 calls in a row?
maybe.
Well, remember, he has to have a reason on how he got over to the scene. Who called you to come to the scene? Remember, he's staying back. Okay. Matt calls himself from her phone. I'm telling you, she doesn't know any of this is going on. He is sneakily doing this shit. Okay. So when she goes inside the house, because he had just done what he did, and when she's about to go walk into the house and go upstairs, what should we see? We should see her phone and her watch going up a flight of stairs together.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what happens when it comes to the point of that she needs to walk in? So see this 6:28 to 6:36. And then do you see how this starts at 6:32 and 33 seconds? It's after it by like a good almost 1 minute.
Yeah.
You see how those are separated? When she goes inside to walk into that home, right after like these calls back and forth to the three Maddies,
Mm-hmm.
her iWatch goes up a flight of stairs. Guess what does not?
The phone.
The phone. And I was like, and so do you understand? I said to Turtle Boy and his crew that I get it that you're riding hard that House Long to Die in this whole Jen McCabe bullshit, but Jen McCabe was not your House Long to Die motherfucking person. And I think that you guys don't get it, which is this is way worse actually for them if it's the way that I'm showing this and presenting it, because this is digital evidence that you can actually use to now you have everybody's testimony, and now you're going to be able to use a forensic expert here on the stand that's going to be able to blow this all up. But you won't get off your high. No, Jen McCabe, like stop with that nonsense. Jen McCabe's a school searcher, and all. I'm like, okay. See on the
right, and Matt is a tech guy. That's the thing.
Yeah, Jen McCabe was used when everybody wants to talk about what these guys do and it's this corruption. You know, they were just because Jen McCabe's phone made phone calls. Why do you think that Jen McCabe had to be on the other line of those phone calls? No, they were using her phone because they never thought that it would be ever that she would be like, here, you can have my phone. I didn't do anything here. You get what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, she didn't know that.
It's funny that people think that Jen McCabe's like running the show. I mean, you don't run the show with men like that in your life.
I have a question for you. When she says she searched Hockomock Sports, do you have anything on that? Do you think that was still Matt because it was downstairs still, and he just kind of did that search to override the Hoslong?
Well, because you have to go back and check the timeline on that with the searches, because if you go back and check with let's go back to when you're getting home at 2. Okay, so you see how when they arrive home, so see how she's moving around, okay, and she's walking, see all these like this is clearly her watch, so she's at 2:14. I mean, she's in the house, she's taking 41 steps during this period of time. Then a couple seconds will go by, 15, then she's up, and so it's, if your phone, let's say, is on the counter of at your house on the kitchen level, if your phone's there, two things could happen. You could be making these texts of like looking something up, or you could have been fed the information to say that this is what's showing up, so this is what you're going to say. Like,
gotcha. You
have to like when, did Jen McCabe ever come with the whole that doesn't come out until like an actual report that a expert put out. And then because when did she ever testify to that? Look, I mean, what are her grand jury minutes saying? You know what I'm trying to say? Like that seems like it came out into an expert report, and then it's like you're going to be saying that. And whether Jen wants to say, like, I think at that point you're really, of course, she's going to have the back of her husband, who's the father of her children. And I wouldn't expect anything less than I would expect that. But the bottom line here is that the phone and the iWatch wearer are not working in concert for any of the main things that y'all are talking about.
Gotcha.
Amazing.
This blows it up. And the most important part is that why it really blows it up is because you didn't see shit by walking over to a window. Okay? You didn't see anything. But where were you that you were sitting? Where were you really truly sitting? And when you're on the stand and you're asked something like that, what are you going to say now when you're married to the story that you're married to? Which is, I'm walking over and back and forth. Well, your phone isn't catching that, but it's catching everything else. And when a expert is explaining that, they're going to just show that that's not what's happening here. And And then when you want to talk about Karen Reed winning, this is how Karen Reed wins her civil, in my opinion, because she's pinning Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe at the same time, which, I mean, who else could have had your phone if it's not for you, because you're not moving, but the phone's moving? How do you explain that? How is your phone walking around and every time you go up a flight of stairs, your phone's not going with you?
Lana, I have a question from a colleague of yours, another great true crime content creator, someone who we want to get on this show. So here's her question, if you could entertain this.
Okay, so did Tubbs, Matt,
Sleuthy Goosey.
Sleuthy, what's up, girl? Did Tubbs keep the phone in the kitchen with him while he ate his diet? Yes, I think that when she went up the flight of stairs, they were maybe looking at it together. And so she goes upstairs thinking Matt's going to come behind, like, come from behind and go up the stairs. But a homeboy doesn't. She's upstairs, where is he? And yeah, so I think that Sleuthy definitely, Matt's downstairs fucking with that phone. That phone stays downstairs. It just doesn't register any. And that's why Lally had to get on the record that they tried to say that that she had something about the phone dying, because they thought that they were going to mention that. When I say they thought, the prosecution, the Commonwealth thought that the defense was going to be talking about what I'm talking about right here. And they didn't, because the defense went the other route, which I applaud them for, which is, hey, we're going to use them saying all this. We have their own 12 witnesses saying that there was no body on the lawn and nobody saw him get hit. We'll get him on the back end with all of this crazy shit in a civil trial. That's what I believe. And you would use that to your advantage by saying that they knew. If Karen Reed is as good with numbers as I believe that she is, like this, she would see this in 2 seconds. It's all I wanted to get. I wanted Karen Reed to see this. And when I was like, please get this to Karen Reed. That's all I care about, is for Karen Reed to get this, because she is like I am with numbers. She sees this and sees how we separated. Nobody has taken the time to talk about the separation of her iWatch and her phone. And when you do that, you see the clear picture that you could prove that iWatch wear was not with the phone at very crucial times, which when you want to talk about a calculated plan, that's how you can even expose a more calculated plan that Jennifer McCabe didn't know things. And that's why she's over here taking the stand, and why other people were refusing to take the stand in trial 2. Not this witness intimidation shit. And I was over here trying to actually help Turtle Boy, but he's not bright enough to see how my help was coming in the form of just shut the fuck up, okay? And worry about your case, and let some people that have the brain power to explain this to the people that matter. And if you can just relinquish just a little bit of, ego and control.
Yeah.
But here you are, and you rat out your source. You completely act like a complete fucking fool. And you've divided really good people in a way that's never needed to happen. And it's really disgusting. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, there are people like that where if they didn't come up with the idea, it's not a good idea. If they come up with the idea, it's a good idea. So, but we will.
You were handed everything on a platter. Yeah. And I'll go on any, hey, come up on the platform, Turtle Boy. You were handed a golden motherfucking gold mine and you fucked it up. And if I was Karen, I would never talk to you again either. Like, fuck you. I have no problem saying that. But at the same time, I'm about the truth. If Turtle Boy was framed, I'll go out there and help to prove that. Right now, I see something a little bit differently right now with his case. That's all.
Yeah, we will try to get this to Karen.
Yeah, please.
We tend towards not, talking about other content creators on here. We kind of like talk more about content, but we will do everything that the two of us can do.
I apologize for saying that actually on your platform.
It's okay. It's just that it's really difficult. You've seen the community. You've noticed what's going on. I have a lot of problems with things that have gone on, just like you, just same as you have. But we have tried to show. We're going to talk about the content in the cases.
Absolutely. And this
We're
is the content.
Yeah. And you are just phenomenal. Like I can't even, we're going to do everything we can to get, we can get this to Nick Rocco for sure.
Yeah. I think that it should be really strongly considered, especially when you want to talk about a guy that's over here worrying about being on a body cam. He was worried about that body cam because he wanted to see if anybody caught the whole pass off. Okay. Of the phone. He wanted to see when you could see that he actually arrived. He wanted to know those things before he testified to certain things. That's
amazing.
What he was concerned about.
I know. I don't know if you have something to say, Bia, but just like Lana I just want to say this, and then I'm going to give you the floor. Lana keeps coming up with things that nobody else has found. I mean, so I'm gonna right after Bia, I want to talk about your career. Because that's what people in the chat are talking about. But go ahead, Bia, please get yours.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense what you're saying, and I mean I guess we're so used to thinking of Jen McCabe as the villain in all this that when you look at it side by side, it definitely it paints a different story for sure.
It does, and I think that we got to give people some grace. I mean, Jen McCabe's a mom too. You know, I get that she's gone, you know, I get where Karen Reed's saying it's me or it's you, Jen. And I get why she says that, because the way that it looks like is like how it looks to me is that you lied for people once you found out about things. Okay. You protected people once you found out about things, or you didn't ask the tough questions of the people that you love. Okay. But Jen McCabe to be escorted over to her own home with Brian Albert, that doesn't tell me that Jen McCabe's in control. That tells me that somebody's controlling Jen McCabe. Okay. That's telling me that Jen McCabe's being used. And I just, you know, it's.
Let's talk about the Taillight though, Lana, because Jen McCabe may have orchestrated some things relative to the cracked Taillight and things like that. I mean, I think you're very right to point. First of all, one of the things I think that's really interesting that you're doing is you're breaking us out of our sort of dogmatic thinking about this case, because dogma is what pervades the entire United States. You either believe this or you believe that. You either believe this content creator or that content creator, all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And we have, I mean, I myself have thought of Jen as a ringleader, but now you have like clunk, 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 you know, like get out of that thinking, because there's data that would suggest that that's not the case. Would you agree to some extent that maybe relative to coming up with the Taillight narrative that she was instrumental?
Well, when did the Taillight narrative begin?
That happened. Okay, so her seeing and knowing about the Taillight at the scene and then calling, I want to say it was Detective Lank or at 9 something. And telling him, hey, I forgot to tell you. And then I hit him. That
became the story after the fact, way after the fact, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that is Jen McCabe's phone was used, okay? Mm-hmm. And was Jen McCabe actually the caller, or did she, after the fact, you know, down the road, like she doesn't realize that people are making these phone calls, and then here 6 months later to sit her down and say, like, listen, it's going to have to be you that said these. When were these reports written up? You know, who is it putting the taillight on the lawn? Proctor? Like, who do you think is going to help people out more? Like, Higgins has the connect to, the Canton Police Department, right? Remember Higgins talked about in trial 1, because only Karen knew that her and Higgins, like, it was a total shell shock when we all watched, and it was like, wait a second, Higgins and Karen were texting, and there was a kiss, and it was like none of this. But here, if maybe that would have been known, it would have sent this whole thing on a different path of like, wait a second, he's over here texting saying, well, to Karen when she walks in the door. Then he's like, I'm going to basically confront John and say, listen, your girl's a 2-timing hoe. And no offense to Karen, because I like Karen Reed, but I'm just saying that that's what I think that Higgins would have said to John to set off some type of a rumble.
Yes.
And here I'm going to out the fact that, because this is bullshit, like, fuck her. And I'm going to tell my boy this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whatever, you know, how the narrative would have painted out there. But I mean, Higgins is the one that went to the Canton Police Department when? Immediately.
Right.
Okay. Right. Didn't go to the to the Canton Police Department at 1:30. Higgins did.
Well, he had to move his car because of the snow.
Yeah, and then who were having the butt dials, right? And then I'm over here showing
and
you
butt
guys,
answer.
yeah, they're having the butt dials, the butt answers. Who's that between? That's between Brian Albert and Higgins, right? Not Jen McCabe. And then I just show you guys as that's happening. Guess who's also involved at the same time? Matt McCabe. And I think if anything, Higgins could have been hanging out over at. I would love to see his. If they ever took the timing advance records from Higgins, did Higgins actually go to Jen McCabe's house? Because it's almost like the whole Googling How Long to Die in the cold at 226. That's Matt down in the main level
Of
with
the house.
with who could be standing right there. Higgins with him. You know, Higgins saying that he went home. How do we know? Did you see the big blow up of like when you leave that area? It's a bad. I've been there. It's a horrible area for reception. You're going in and out of your bubble like this with coming in and out of service. And I just think that nothing was moving in this case for so long when this first happened that it didn't need to be having any stories lining up until a little bit later down the road. And then that's, I think, when it would have had like a round table to maybe sit people down to say, hey, well, we need you to say this, this, and this. And then what do you think she's going to do? Okay. Like, that's what I think. It's just kind of like the Carrie Roberts thing.
That is really, really interesting. That,
I just think that to put a girl in charge and saying that she's calling the shots, like, come on, guys. She's not.
That's you know what? You've shaken, right, Bia? Has your thinking altered? Yeah.
And I think, and I've always thought that Higgins had a missed opportunity when Karen texted him, John died, and he didn't,
1,000.
his threat is out of the, that's his competition. Why didn't he come and be like a white knight her? Now she's free and available.
Well, the other thing is I also think that Karen, I personally think Karen could have potentially told her lawyers all about this, but then how it would look to people is that Higgins killed John to be with Karen and Karen was involved in that. And it would be like, no, we're not talking about anything like this because these guys that are lawyers know, you know what I mean? And they're like, no, we're not going to, we get what you're saying and we see this all okay. But yeah, no. And that's why I believe that it was never, like it was a shock to Turtle Boy, right? He had no idea that Higgins was and Karen were talking.
Right.
Well, why? Because Karen didn't tell you that, right? Karen stopped talking to him a while ago, though, too. So who knows? Maybe that's why. Maybe she just didn't trust you anymore. But the bottom line is that it could look to the outside that why Higgins did what he did, and if Karen was involved because they wanted to be together, some crazy shit like that, and that's just not the case. But it could be swung that way, and then it's just a whole other fucking bag of worms that that's just not the case.
And by February 3rd, he was already lawyered up. And that's where he had his meeting with Yuri.
Yeah. He looks like the guiltiest. I mean, Lana, these are things you don't even have to be an investigator like yourself to understand that when someone goes and takes their phone to an FBI kiosk to wipe something, and then you're going on a military base and you're taking a wire cutters to your SIM card, and putting in one dumpster and putting your phone in another. Innocent people don't do that. Innocent people don't do that. Like guilty people who are.
Or if you're trying to protect somebody else, let's say, maybe he's trying to protect Brian Albert. I mean, I'm saying that he had knowledge, in my opinion, so early on, way before anybody else did because of his transport on over to the Canton Police Department to play parking lot, as Alan Jackson says. And I love that. I love that saying. I think it's fucking
parking
awesome.
attendant.
Yeah, he's playing over their parking lot. And I was just like, dude, I love Alan Jackson. I love Karen Reed. I love her parents. I love their grit grind. Like, dude, not too many people, if hardly any, could do what Karen Reed did and her lawyers did. And I just have the utmost respect for their family. I have the utmost, like, what they went through. Carrie or Sherry, the sneaker. Let's talk about that.
Yes, before Sherry will kill me. Go ahead.
Yeah, the picture that was taken by the Canton Police Department. This is why I think that Good is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
the picture that they took and the angle that they took for the sneaker, and why it got basically taken off the front page of the report is because prior to the sneaker being placed there, the sneaker was not there. And you have a clear-cut angle, same angle, and you see like the, you heard, what's his name? One of the cops, the young guy, Mulvaney.
Gallagher?
Mulvaney.
No.
Mulvaney.
Mulvaney, okay.
Yeah. He was talking about how they were taking their feet. Same thing with, they were taking it to the berm and they were rubbing their feet up to so they get a picture of like the berm. Well, that picture that they end up taking, nobody knows that it was taken except for the Canton Police Department, right? So they take it there. I love the fact that they took the blower, the leaf blower, and they got all the way down to the grass. Okay, there's no red freaking taillight. It's nowhere. You would have found it. But then something that nobody ever resonated in their brains was that when the CERT team goes and they supposedly take these pictures and, oh my God, here's this shoe. Well, guess where that shoe was at? Okay. That shoe was located, and you can look at the pictures. I could put them side by side. It's exhibit 41 and 42. And then there's a 43. Those are the exhibits from trial one and from trial one. And if you put them side by side, they are in this, that shoe is in the same spot where there was a clear berm earlier with Canton Police Department. That's why Good took that picture off the front cover of the report and moved it. And Alan Jackson asked him, or Yannetti asked him in trial one, who moved this picture from it being the front cover of the report? And he said, oh no, that just happens when you add more pictures to it. Fuck out of here. No, they moved it because it was evidence just right in front of your face of that. Dude, there's the berm. It's the same angle as the CERT team took the picture. No shoe, and now there is a shoe. Like, and I can't believe like that it wasn't brought. Like, fuck if you think it's the same shoe. You guys, the shoe is not there. That's the ticket, is that the shoe is not there for Canton when they take the picture. And then it's there when the CERT team takes the picture of the same location, and it lines up perfectly where the flag. I mean, it's all the angles are correct. And it could just prove that the shoe wasn't there.
Yeah, and they brought it from inside the house or something, or right? Or they took.
Yeah, no, I think
that's
off him. Well, it was just planted after the fact.
Yeah, it had to have been.
It goes to the fact of the matter is that you didn't rope it off. It wasn't a crime scene. Okay, so now you're going to put into a pool of set up a geofence and find out. Actually, I can show you even more if you really want to see. I think the shoe was planted there. Mm-hmm. And somebody was watching out, and you can look at the steps that were taken. Here, I'll put it up because I think that the shoe was. I think somebody was either looking out or potentially. Yeah, here you go. So they call they call him back over to the house. All right, so 8:49 to 8:50, right after this time frame, you notice that the phone not moving. Okay.
Yep.
So let me explain something that means that the iWatch person is moving for all this right here, and the phone that I believe they're sitting in a car in the driveway. Okay.
Who's this now? John's phone or?
No, this is McCabe's.
McCabe's phone, right? Jay McCabe.
Okay, remember how she calls up and says, "Hey, I need you to come back here because we want to talk to you."
Yes.
Okay. Well, guess who got that talking to on the second go round? Who was at the house then?
You got me.
Well, was Higgins there? What time did Higgins swipe in with his little badge, you know? Anyways, Lane comes back over, okay? But look at this. She doesn't move from 8:50 and 27 seconds to 9:09. See how there's no steps? Mm-hmm. And then once again, you're doing this infamous, I'm about to get out of the car, one step. But then I get back in, okay? Mm-hmm. Then 9:23 and 35 seconds to 9:24 and 14 seconds. So you're looking at not even a minute, right? 32 steps. Then so right here, right before this, see this right here, 8:49 and 31 seconds to 8:50 and 27, 18 steps. So we got somebody doing some serious movement here, sandwiched in between of not moving for a good 20 minutes. You see that 8:50 to 9:09? Yeah. That's because Link is coming on, he's coming back over to the house, right? Mm-hmm. But right before that and right after that, some serious, running around happening. But it looks to me like that Jen was originally, so she's sitting in her car and she's about to get out. So I then question if she's in her car and didn't get out and sits back in, is it because a Lank actually came up and actually got into the vehicle?
Ooh.
Because you see how like 909 and 923,
Mm-hmm.
it just, this is indicative of if she was inside the house, how do you get back out to your car? Like, when are you taking these steps?
Mm-hmm.
So if I back it up even more and you look here, this is her phone, this is the watch. And do you see these like 8:48 and 22 seconds to 8:48 and I mean, this is somebody 8 steps, like this is 2 seconds. That's like a run. You're running.
Right.
Okay. 8:46 and 11 seconds to 8:46 and 13 seconds. You see that 8? Like, I mean, this is somebody that's making dashes, right?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, is somebody running out, placing something, running back? I mean, running out, placing something, and then running back. And like, this is where I think that the whole planting could have happened with when you look at this, but it's definitely the phone is staying in the car from 8:40 or wherever it's stationary. See 8:40, the phone's not moving. But if you have to be with the phone to make the phone call to call Lank, look at this. The phone has moved from 8:40, and do you see how? Boop.
No steps with
how-
the phone.
Yeah. Do you see how like there's like the phone doesn't take any more steps until 10:42? It's because the phone was in the car. The phone was in the car, and they're running back and forth to the car, not the house. Because otherwise you're not able to use the cell phone that was made to make all these phone calls. So if somebody actually sits down and I explain this to them and they walk through Jennifer McCabe's like movements in her phone and her cell records, you will see that, yeah, holy shit. Yeah, oh my God. Because then when you get to this point, this is when Proctor's coming over to the house, right? See Proctor? And then somebody told her, you need to take that fucking watch off now or it died. And then it was just like, zap.
Oh boy, we will take this for action, faux show, and ask. Use.
So I can email it on off, but it shows a completely different, interesting. I would use it all day if this was my case. I would be like, what the hell are we gonna do about this? Look at this. This is crazy. She wasn't with her phone when she's going up the stairs. She wasn't with her phone when any of these Google searches happen. Who's making these Google searches?
Well, I'm gonna send the it's ironic. We were talking to Nick like what 20 minutes before the show, so we'll send him this. We're gonna send him the link to this video so that he can see it. I've got it zoomed in pretty well where he's going to be able to read it, and then we'll follow up with him on that, and if we can also send it to Dave Unetti if need.
It was mind blowing when I looked at it. I was like, wait a second. Holy shit.
You're mind blowing. That's. We have a question here from the official attorney of Calling All Beings, is Valhalla, retired Massachusetts attorney.
Hi.
And she's saying, have you talked to Aussie Insider? Her analysis of the phone data shows that someone monkeyed with all 3 Hoslong searches.
I've never talked to Aussie, number 1. Number 2, I was only looking at the phones or the iWatch and the phone, like the iWatch wearer and the phone working in concert. It should have been like that the whole time, and it just wasn't. So it's showing that the iWatch wearer isn't always with the phone, and when the phone is making critical commands, I guess you could say, with it.
I think I'd like to. We got about 9 minutes left here. I'd like to focus on Lana for this next 5 minutes. Oh, your skill set is so amazing. Bia, have you seen another analyst like this young lady?
No, I think it's putting the 2 items together that really makes it click visually. And
right.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. I was just like picture like 2 people in front of you, or picture 1 person in front of you, and you're like, wait, this 1 person can't be doing these 2 things because one of them isn't moving, So it was like, okay, now we have to bring in another person, right? Because you need 2 people to make this happen.
Right.
Because 1 person, clearly, if you're wearing your watch, like she said she testified that she was wearing her watch. She slept in her watch and that she didn't take it off, which that's what it shows. It's like, okay, then you have to have another body to be able to move the phone when the phone's making steps, because the watch wearer is not moving.
Right.
Well, What would you like to do with this skill set that you've discovered that you have?
Oh, I mean, I'm doing what I'm doing right now. So it's just to help people. I think the Karen Reed case, I Googled it. I said, how many cases are out there like Karen Reed's? You know, I think Turtle Boy has a great platform. I think that he could take his followers that were all about corruption fighting. And there are 70 cases right now to this day that could use Turtle Boy and use his following. So I think that there's people out there that need an army. There's cases out there that need an army. And they're both ways, you know, there's times where the state needs help or the Commonwealth or, you know, the defense. But I think that the internet can be used in a way to people have so many talents. And if people come together, you know, to, hey, if you catch something or see something, say something. It's the same, you know, thing. And if you saw a crime happen, you know, so I just think that the internet can be used as a huge tool to not only just crowdsource with, look at all the funding that was been raised for Karen Reed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys, lawyers need eyes. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you connect dots really fast. I'm just being honest. Everybody you have to bring that. So that's where I think I would just be like, hey, there's really good people that can do X, Y, and Z. And the lawyer needs to focus on how we can put this into a motion, or how you can, you know, what the laws are in this, or what the statute is and how you can get around this. Like, that's what the lawyer is supposed to be focusing on. And if you can divide and conquer a discovery when there's not a gag order, a lot can be done. When there's not protective orders, a lot can be done.
Right. Yeah. When people aren't trying to hide evidence. I'm trying to think of this guy's name. I want to say what you're talking about, the platform and what can be done. I believe his name was Kevin Matthews. He passed away. He's the guy who solved the tent girl murder that was decades old. I heard about him from Payne Lindsay from Atlanta, Up and Vanished.
Okay.
And he said that this guy, Kevin Matthews, I think he might have also been from Georgia. He was a Southerner. He passed a few years ago. But Kevin is the one who solved the tent girl murder strictly by doing research. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say
that's awesome.
Because
it's time consuming. And if you can divide up some duties, but
yes,
you also have to trust people, like, you know what I mean? And I get it. It's just, so for me, with my skill set, I just know that I believe I can help people, whether it's the state or whether it's the Commonwealth or whether it's a defense person who's a defendant. We shouldn't be trying to hold back people, like helping people. We shouldn't try to, nobody's perfect. No. And people that want to harp on people I'm going to make mistakes. I make mistakes every day.
So do I.
I try to make mistakes. If you're not going out there and doing something, then you can't possibly make a mistake. So I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid of anything. What I am, I shouldn't say afraid of, but what I'm reluctant with is trust. Is who can you trust? Who's in it for the right reasons? Who's not trying to be a fucking piece of shit? So it's right. So I'll be the first person to say if I make a mistake or whatever, but if I'm not trying to do something, then I don't even have the opportunity to make a mistake. It's kind of like sports for me. I don't give a shit what anybody says about me. I don't care. I do not care. I literally don't. And, but if you're not trying, then you can't possibly make a mistake. And so I think that we should go out there and try to make as many mistakes as we can.
I love that.
I love that.
So we picked the right person to have on tonight. By the way, it's Todd Matthews.
You guys are great.
Yeah, and we already want to book you for the for episode 2.
I'm gonna actually, when I get off of here, I'm donating $100 to Karen Reed. I know that you guys have done fundraisers. I think that whether it's $1, whether it's $1 million, to me, it's that somebody took the time just to even give whatever they could. And sometimes if people can't give money, you'd be surprised that they could give. Everybody has a role, like sharing it. By you sharing it, 4 people donated because you shared because you couldn't, donate. There's a role for everybody. My coaches have taught me that it's about accepting your role and it's about excelling in your role. So if you want to accept a role, then there's a role for everybody.
And you got applause from your buddy Boston Brandy too.
Tell her I love her. Tell her I love. Don't ever back down, girl.
Oh.
I don't think she needs to be told that. I think that I'm so happy that, hey, stick up for yourself, stick up for the people that you love, stick up for the people that you don't even know, but are that need to be stuck up for. Stuck up for it. Like, it's when you see something, say something. We drove out to Boston. We drove out to Canton. We covered the case. We went there. We've researched Karen Reed's case up and down. And like I said, we think the world of all the locals that are out there all the time. It was cold. It was raining. It was hot as hell the one time we were there. I can't say enough for the community there, because I saw everybody there for the right reasons. Like, why else are you there? You could be at work. You could be with your kids. I saw people there for the right reasons. And that needs to be the headline for everything, is like, we're here for the right reasons.
And you know what? I want to tell Boston Bia something that she doesn't know. From the other night, we did this Logic, Lipstick, and Laughter episode. And it was Boston Bia, Boston Brandy, and Boozy Beauty. And awesome. What I thought about that, and I was going to throw a surprise guest in there toward the end of the show, and it was going to be this lady right here, Lana. That's who I was going to add in but I didn't know if she was want to do it, because she was.
I would have loved it.
Okay, well then we're gonna add you into the next one then.
Absolutely.
That would be really cool to have you guys. And what I thought about during that, because you just talked about how everyone has a different contribution, and I know my ride or die over there, Boston Bia, and what her contribution is, and how amazing and important it is different than Boston Brandy's. Mm-hmm. And Boston Brandy, as the inspiring leader, is different than Boozy Beauty, who herself is a researcher like you. Yeah. So all 3 women, totally different, very different contributions, but all very important, very poignant.
Yeah. So, and for the same reason. You know what I mean? Think about it. If we all had the same strength, we would get nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, we would get absolutely nowhere. Yeah. And I applaud you guys. I know that you've shown up for all of the recent fundraisers. Yep, stand up. But you're there. You know how much it means to, like, hey, will you come on panel with me? Some people are like so afraid to go on panel. Like, hey, will you come with me? And then here you are every single time I'm like ever seeing something. I'm like, oh my God, there she is. Like, thank you. She's always there. And that's invaluable. That's invaluable though.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think everybody has a role. Like, I keep looking at the defense fund. Like, I just took a peek at it. Just on December 19th, when we did the fundraiser, was just over 10,000. Now it's at $59,611. So just the power. I mean, obviously the movie, the Rotten Mangoes helped a lot, but before that,
awesome. I love that.
Right. Before that, there was no attention being put, because everybody just had these misconceptions. So, we started looking into these fundraising efforts back in November. And it's amazing how when you stay focused, you try to show unity, right? Because what you saw, you're saying, I'm showing up for everyone. I will show up for everyone that I'm invited to.
Everyone that everyone that I've seen, and I'm like, see, dude, that's like, because people don't realize it, or maybe they do. It's the time, like, hey, you're setting aside, and then when you see like a live that goes for like 4 hours or something like that, I was like, 4 hours. Think about it. People are like, yeah, I got my grocery shopping done. And I watched. I got this done. I was wrapping my gifts, and I'm like, yeah, well, we didn't get any of that. You know what I mean? It's just like, but I think people realize it when they say those things, and it's like, yeah, you guys got me through going grocery shopping, which sucks, And I think when people make those type of comments, they actually get it. Because they're like, yeah, look at what you did, you're selfless. And like I said, I wouldn't have come on the channel if I was like, oh, no way, these people are nuts, or we don't align with the same mentality. no, you guys have upbeat his spirit over here. I'm just like, dude, I thought I was a wild spirit animal. Like, come on.
So there was one person that I talked about that after when we did our fundraiser when Karen came on, there's one person I told Bia about that was in the chat that made me like really excited. And of course I'm excited that all of you are paying attention, but one person I didn't expect to see that was there, and it was you. so excited. And I emailed you right after. I'm like,
yeah,
hey,
you're
look.
like, that was, yeah. I was like, wait, but I was like, why wouldn't I be there though? I was like, hell yeah.
That was dope.
Dude, Kieran Reed is innocent as fuck. She, you know, how you could ever say a bad word about her parents, anybody in her family, anybody on her defense team, anybody that supports her. I'm sorry, but like, dude, Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. That's all I gotta say.
All right, I have one final question for you, and it's really just, have you surprised yourself?
Surprised. I think that I just try to better myself. You know, I don't know. Surprised. I think I'm a natural born leader, and I have a platform, and it's a dangerous combo because I'm just on myself, you know, like I'm my biggest critic. Like, I guess you could say if something happens or something doesn't go the right way, I'm like, dude, God, Lana, like, what do you like? How did that happen? So I'm just hard on myself. But I would say that more than anything, like surprised. No, I know that the internet's a dangerous place, but it can be such a powerful, amazing tool at the same time, you know? So,
man, everybody in this joint, put your damn hands together.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
For my home girl.
I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much. Appreciate
you. Truth and transparency.
Ooh. You guys are too kind. Thank you.
All right.
We'll have to do this again. Thank you for putting out the stuff about Monique and Spencer too. Like, I appreciate you guys wanting to, you know, put out the word about that. So I appreciate that.
Yes, and more to come. You're definitely going to be invited back, so just expect that email coming your way, and we will pass on this episode and try to get you connected up with Nick Rocco via.
It's just, honestly, it's just the information. I just care about the knowledge, the potential knowledge of it. It could be nothing, you know. Maybe I'm missing something, but thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, chat.
Bye,
thank
everybody.
You,
thank you, everyone. One love.
Thank
Good night.
you.